Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is our Rice News analyst, Emmanuel Ifeni, the great Malabite.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rufai.
Good morning, sir.
Without L. Good morning, Victoria Tundu MKO Abiola.
Good morning.
Was there a meeting in Egbaland about shades of grey? Good morning, Nigerians and our viewers across the world. We start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. Now, the lead story with e-transmission, direct primaries, Senate gives power back to the people. Excitement over electronic transmission. Many hail direct primaries as PDP kicks. Yes, yesterday the Senate did the needful after all the hue and cry about the last action it took before the recess, not to grant Nigerians what we have yearned for, electronic transmission of results. But the Senate did a U-turn. And yes, Nigerians are excited. But other newspapers are also reporting this story. Let's just look at how they are reporting this story before we discuss further. Now, the New Telegraph newspaper, Senate bows electronic results. Senate bows to pressure, empowers INEC to decide transmission mode, allows political parties to decide modalities for primaries. Atiku Ekweremadu commends Senate. Now, the Sun newspaper, the Daily Sun, e-transmission of results. Senate surrenders, removes conditions, give INEC power to decide. OK's direct primaries for political parties. Atiku, Wike, others hail lawmakers. PDP, CUPP fault direct primaries. Electronic transmission of results. Senate in the Vanguard newspaper. Senate in U-turn imposes direct primaries on parties, while the Punch newspaper, INEC awaits Buhari's nod on e-transmission of results. Existing law stipulates manual collation. Amendments require Buhari's accent. INEC direct primaries will end godfatherism, says House of Representatives chairman. APC-led assembly has subjected wishes of Nigeria to money bags, alleges PDP. Now, the Business Day newspaper has this same story as its lead. 2023, credible polls in sight as Senate backs reform. Atiku, Okore, Yabagi, others optimistic. Now, this is a welcome development. And now, will the president sign? Yes, he has to sign. Because all the reasons the president gave ahead of 2019 polls for not signing and not, this has been passed well on time. And more importantly, the president has to leave a legacy of credible election. He will not be contesting anymore. So, what he has to do for Nigerians and what Nigerians are waiting for, and I hope as soon as the harmonization with the House is done, the president will assent very quickly to this bill, just like he did with the PIA. And Nigerians are waiting anything short of that. Well, we will not give ultimatum like Rufai. But we hope the president will do the needful and sign this electoral amendment bill into law. Ruben, Rufai, and Tundu. This is what we've all been waiting for.
So for me, I think let's not get ahead of ourselves yet. The PIA is very way different from this electoral.
No, but the president was very quick in signing it.
He was quick to sign.
So we want him to do same to this. That's what we're saying.
He has to surprise us by signing this. I know, and I deliberately use the word surprise because you see, in 2019, I remember that process. We waited with bated breath. Oh, he was going to sign it. And then the excuses came in. In fact, typo.
I remember.
They didn't put a comma somewhere. They didn't put a semicolon somewhere. Excuses upon excuses upon excuses, until the point it got to the elections, and we didn't use that. And a lot of people still feel that if we had done that in 2019, we'll have passed this level we're just going to now.
Better late than never.
I don't believe in that.
Well,
sometimes it's good you do things at the nick of time.
But the president was contesting in that election, but now he will not be contesting.
I think that will sign this.
Okay.
Except that the president cannot keep a document from the National Assembly forever. You know, the Constitution prescribes the number of days within which he can hold on to that document. If he doesn't communicate back to the National Assembly, then of course it will be deemed that the law has been passed. And which is the point about timing. In 2019, the issue was the time. And government could conveniently...
The final issue was the
There
time.
was a plethora of
Because
issues,
there were
wasn't
a number of issues.
There are many
they
issues that
took it
led up to
back.
the time.
You know,
A number of times.
The National Assembly also returned it, but there was they now used the final excuse that it was too close to the election because many of the proposals could not be effectuated. We do not expect this time around that there will be that back and forth for a whole year. No. Even if it takes a whole year, right? The election, you know, there will still be enough time to work towards ensuring a 2023 general election that will be credible, that will be transparent, that will give the people of Nigeria a sense that their votes would count. Because the whole point about this transparency and accountability in the electoral process is for the average Nigerian who is going to vote, you know, to come away from that process and feel that his vote matters. Not that some, you know, manipulative process, you know, by those who control the state.
And I say better late than never is not good because the first time INEC wrote a paper ever on electronic voting was 0708. Look how far we have come. Even this victory we have today is because INEC had to bring out another paper on it, insisting, and it will have looked very, you know, very stupid on the part of the lawmakers if they did not look at the content of that paper critically, because what INEC simply said in that paper was the fact that you have no excuse. We have the data on ground. You remember how they first pushed it to the National Communications Commission?
You think it was the INEC paper or the pressure for Nigerians?
No, the INEC paper and the pressure for Nigerians, because it was only when INEC came out to make a good case. Don't forget, when they called the NCC executive in there, you remember what he said? We all watched it here when he said, oh, it's not possible. It was when that INEC paper came out to take a bold position, and INEC was saying, we are the ones who conduct these elections. This is our position. It is doable. That's what, you know, merged with the voices of Nigerians. Because there were pressures from Nigerians when the lawmakers voted the way they voted. There were pressures from Nigeria when the lawmakers went to the toilet. There were pressures from Nigeria when lawmakers came on TV and they said they don't have network in their homes. And I know some of them, their villages, they have 4G. Not just network, 4G. They ignore the pressures of Nigerians.
Well, I'm not too sure whether INEC has that kind of influence over the legislative process. They will have been easily ignored.
Yes.
What is more important is the pressure from civil society and
so.
the fact that the people of Nigeria spoke up.
Yeah.
And it must have been very embarrassing to that Senate committee on INEC that, look, elections were conducted in Kaduna State using electronic transmission of results. And that has not led to war. And it's not going to, the use of it is not going to lead to any war. And there's enough opportunity for INEC to try it out, as they intend to do in Anambra on November 6th. But, you know, that the voice of the people has prevailed is what is more important. We hope that the president would also take special note of that and therefore realize that this is about the democratic process and also his own legacy.
Fro.
Vox Populi. Vox
Yes, the voice of the people is the voice of God. Yeah. Now, still on the front page of these day newspapers, above the masthead, 19 months to go. Buhari urges ministers to pace up on goals. Directs Secretary to Government of the Federation to convene quarterly meetings to review government's priority areas. Okonjo Iweala, cost of Nigeria's trade too high to attract investment. I hope with that retreat, which ended yesterday, and I'm sure the Minister of Sports, Sunday Dare, must have listed the victories of these girls as one of his achievements. Yet these girls are badly treated. And I just feel I should call out the minister. Because, you see, when private sectors don't come forward to put their money in sports, it is because of matters like this.
Yes.
Because you can imagine the banks that made that contribution. Their names being mentioned in monies not diverted.
It's appalling.
So I think the minister has to sit up and ensure that these girls are given what they are due. You bring them to Nigeria. Why are they trying to keep them away from their own country?
I'm completely baffled by how they've been treated.
Then they must have something to hide. All the people in charge of sports and the basketball.
If we are ready.
Because you expect that they will be gladly, just Cameroon here, less than 1 hour flight, they will be in Abuja, present the trophy, get their handshake. The girls appreciated that so much.
Yeah,
the president's
they want
handshake.
a presidential handshake.
I don't think
and they
were asking for too much.
Yes.
Yeah, but
They deserve it.
you see, because some people have interest, they will not give them that chance.
But
That's the
I
country
get the
of
point
business.
you are making, Ifeni, about calling out the minister. But I made a point earlier before you joined us that this is about the Nigerian system. This abuse of athletes, this, mistreatment, maltreatment of persons who make the necessary sacrifice so that Nigeria can shine on the international stage, did not just start. It's a problem with the system.
Yes, but
and it's not the problem of one man. Now, Sunday Dare, yes, is the man in the saddle now as minister, but he got there in 2019. So it's an inherited problem. Those ladies talked about 2017.
No, but in the case of the girl said
with him.
former Minister Dwalong took them to the president.
Who? That long?
Yes, the girls. They mentioned it.
Yes, they
that
said so.
in 2017, the then minister took them to the president.
Yes.
So why is this
but
minister?
nothing happened.
No, but why is this one denying them at least that
They
handshake?
want that access. They want that handshake.
If we are serious with ourselves in this country, I don't see why we shouldn't have an operation sweep now going on in that sports ministry that has disgraced Nigerians.
No, not
at
just...
first. No, let me start. At first, it is the same sport ministry that one of our brightest legs now is suffering big doping ban, and her career is as good as over.
Blessing Okagbare.
Blessing Okagbare. It is the same sports ministry that the phones that sponsors gave athletes, they collected it from their hands. Even phones, yeah. It is the same sport. I can go on and on. So it's been a litany of woes here and there. So if we're a sane country, the people in the ministry themselves should hand over their resignation and say, we've not tried. But we're not serious.
Now that you mention Okagbare, we need to help that lady.
Everybody has let her down.
Because recall that Chioma Ajunwa had a drug problem. But certain Nigerians, including Segun Odegbami, rallied round to help her.
Yes.
After her ban was lifted, help her to get to her feet. And the result is that till today, we are still celebrating that individual goal. So the sport authorities, if they know what they are doing, they should rally round to help her.
And quickly.
Yes, and quickly.
Tundu, let me also remind us, remember the kids problem? That our athletes went to the Olympics and they were washing their own kids.
We saw that video.
We saw that too. The same sport ministry. I can go on. Or should I stop?
No, let's move on to
Okay.
Let's move on to that
Federations
subject.
are part of the problem. All that politics over who should be head of this federation or should not be head. So the rot is system-wide. And we're hoping that the federal government, having concluded a ministerial performance retreat, we'll take a look at some of the outcomes and do a review. After all, the president told us the other time when he moved around 2 ministers and I think he dropped one, that, it will be a continuous exercise. So as the administration moves into the last leg of its tenure, we will expect that some of these things would be addressed.
Okay, let's just look at other stories. New Telegraph newspaper. Below the photograph, 6 feared dead as gunmen, soldiers clash at Abga rally. ZLP carpets Abga APC over insecurity. Police arrest Kaduna Catholic priest abductors. Yes, that scene, if you watch the video of gunshot at a rally, continued gunshots. And I wonder what is happening in Anambra that now rallies, people cannot even go and attend rallies and don't fear for their lives. So the security agencies must brace up because the Anambra election has to hold. And we cannot accept the excuse of, oh, insecurity. You want to either cancel or postpone the Anambra election. But all stakeholders in Anambra should be worried that the level of insecurity seems to be going up as the date, November 6th, draw nigh. So it's a very serious issue, if you ask me. Now, the Guardian newspaper, Nigeria's The Guardian newspaper, fintechs shun stock exchange for $876.5 million funding overseas. Exchange can only boast of 8 listed tech telecom firms. Experts blame Naira devaluation, shortage of forex, others. More venture capitalists needed to fund SMEs across sectors. Yes, recall that Akinwumi additional when he made that speech at the ministerial retreat, talking about funding these small enterprises.
Yeah.
Even the fintechs, a lot of young Nigerians are doing wonderful things. But they need to be funded.
Yes, and it's true. I remember a couple of years back, I wrote an article on this. I used to pen a couple of my thoughts for a tech news daily then. And I was asking the question, why is it that Nigerian startups don't go to our capital market? And the case is obvious. You can't get the kind of financial power they need there. What does it mean? It means that we need to do a lot in our capital market. It needs to be robust. They can't raise that kind of money there. Take, for instance, recently, the Opera News raised over $200 million. How easy is it to raise that kind of money in our capital market? Most of the companies in our capital market are now dead cheap because of the forex problem. If you really want to have a swap on companies, you can buy the shares for cheap. And that's why we need to do more in our capital market so that these people can probably list here. I think the ones that have listed are the ones that have been around for a very long time. And those are the ones that had great partnerships with banks. Because you see, most of these companies evolved in the first set of Nigerian tech companies came out from the early 90s. The early 90s where they created apps, CRM apps for banks, customer interfaces apps for banks, and they did it in situ here. But as they became bigger and they wanted to expand to more customer-driven functions, payments and things like that across board, then they had to look for more capital. And our capital market cannot provide that level of capital for them. And it's something we should look at deeply. Because just imagine, if these companies are listed on our capital market, there's a whole lot more we can do.
Anyway, we have just 2 minutes more.
Okay, I just rushed through the foreign newspapers quickly. The Times of UK, backlog at biggest port forces ships to turn away. Britain faces Christmas shortages, industry says. Yes, ministers are worried because the biggest port in the UK, the busiest container port, the Felixstowe, is having this congestion. Their storage capacity filled, ships are being diverted elsewhere. So the prospects of empty shelves in the UK during Christmas is very likely. And the Financial Times of UK is also reporting, the Financial Times is reporting that UK recovery will lag behind other advanced nations, and going by IMF forecast. At the present, as at August, the GDP growth was 0.4. But the IMF report, its forecast is saying that Britain will certainly lag behind other advanced nations. Now, the New York Times, supply gridlock and virus hinder global recovery. Inequality is widening. IMF economic report cites uneven access to vaccines. Yes, as the world economy struggles to find its footing, the resurgence of the coronavirus and supply chain chokehold threatens to hold back recovery, as we have seen in the UK.
Well, I mean, the crisis at the port, well, the UK authorities said that they are addressing it, but part of the problem is the shortage of HGV drivers. And it's not peculiar to the United Kingdom. Other ports in Asia, in China, have similar problems. The supply chain crisis that the entire world faces. But we hope that the assurance by Maersk, which handles the bulk of the freight containers in that particular port, has diverted to other ports, Frankfurt, Antwerp, and will use smaller vessels, to bring back the goods. Hopefully, Christmas will be fine.
I know some people at Apapa Port will not say we are not alone.
Anyway, thank you, Feni.